Good morning and welcome back to the One Celtic Fans View daily Celtic content. If it is the first time that you've been on the channel, make sure you subscribe and hit the notification bell so that you're notified when a video comes out. Also make sure that you give this video a big thumbs up. There is a Celtic midfield player this morning, this is unbelievable news, who's in the middle of a transfer tussle. Although the transfer window hasn't opened yet, this player does find himself at the heart of a transfer tussle between two European clubs. Matt O'Reilly's also been talking, and he says that he doesn't know what's going to happen this summer with regards to outgoings and incomings. We'll talk about that story. We're also going to talk about a little clause that was in Ange Postecoglou's contract that is stopping him from taking the backroom staff for the moment. And could Celtic be ready to go for David Moyes? This is one thing that's been spoken about. He has said that he's going to be staying at West Ham, but there's now speculation down south that Celtic could come for him as they want to continue their dominance of Scottish football, but they also want a manager that can make a big impression in European football, something that's been proved beyond Ange Postecoglou and even Rodgers. I mean, let's face it, Postecoglou in Europe last year was a bit of a disappointment. But to say the least, it's probably the worst we've been in the Champions League for a long time. Anyway, let's get back to the first story that we spoke about. Is the midfield player that is in a transfer tussle between Bordeaux and Panathinaikos. This is absolutely crazy. Then the Ivory Coast international, who is Islam Soro. You remember him? Yep, he finds himself at a crazy... he was obviously on loan last season, but he now finds himself, he does have a year left on his contract, but he finds himself in the middle of a transfer tussle between Bordeaux and Panathinaikos, who are eagerly vying for his signature, it has been said. However, upon his return to Celtic this summer, could he be included in the squad? You never know, the new manager might like him, or will it be the case that he will move on with just a year left to go? Everything is probably up in the air at the moment, as Celtic have still not announced a new manager. Talking about new managers, David Moyes has been... it's been suggested that he could come to Celtic finally. The 43-year wait for West Ham's first trophy in Europe. He's a lifelong Celtic fan. He's been mentioned many times to come to Celtic, but could the fact that he's just won a European trophy with West Ham, could that be the tipping point? Celtic really need to make a difference in Europe. We need to get a manager that is not as naive in Europe. Ange Postecoglou, you have to say, he was pretty naive in the way that he focused on Europe. He thought he could go into the European game and play it the exact same way that he plays in the Scottish League week in, week out, and we found that he basically can't. Although you can go in and play some good football, it is all about results, and in Europe is where we need to start making our mark. And not just making our mark, so just getting through the group stages in the Champions League would be good. Matt O'Reilly, he believes that under Ange Postecoglou they might have actually done that. He says in terms of the way the players that he faced, like Modric and everybody, that season that's just passed, he says those were the most enjoyable games for him, for Matt O'Reilly last season. He says because your levels are always pushed. He then went on to say, I hope the bulk of the Celtic squad would stick together for next season's campaign, but trust the club to adapt if players need to move on. He says if we do lose players, I'm sure the recruitment team will bring in the replacements. We saw that in January in the past 18 months. It shows that the recruitment at Celtic has been fantastic. Talking about the Champions League, obviously last night, he said when you look back to the Man City versus the Madrid game, he says on our day, if we'd performed a bit better, he says of course these clubs has a lot more money. He says we've signed a lot of players for really cheap fees, but money doesn't mean a lot when you're on the pitch. He says if you look at what these players are probably worth now, it's probably 10 times the amount. Matt O'Reilly talking about it, he's hoping that players stick together. He's hoping that the majority of the squad sticks together. I personally do think the majority of the squad will stick together this summer. Celtic would be crazy to have a fire sale. The manager's going to come in and we're in a good position. Talking about that, obviously this clause that's in Ange Postecoglou's contract when he came to Celtic, he says there was an insertion in the contract that stipulated that he meant once the former boss departed, he was unable to instantly poach members of his old backroom team for any new site, blocking moves for Kennedy Gavin Strachan and Greg Wallace. So with that being said, it means he can't come in for them straight away, but can he wait until, say, Christmas? And then come back for them then? What was the length? You tend to find that these things in the contracts, it's probably about 6 months to a year. Hopefully it was on the best part of the year side so that we can get someone in. We need the continuity. I mean, a lot of people are saying it's probably right that Kennedy moves on at this time, but you have to say he has been Mr. Consistent in the background. He did get to number 2, and he did do a lot of the things on the training pitch. Ange Postecoglou said that in his interviews before he left. Says he puts a lot of trust in him. You can understand why he wants to take him down to Spurs, but it's good that Celtic had that in his contract. They obviously knew that they were bringing in a manager that, if he got it right, would get a move down to another club. Anyway, Celtic and West Ham. Could it be the West Ham the manager? Tell me in the comments what you think. I think, would Moyes be a good fit? He would bring us that level of managerial experience that we probably need. He will keep on dominating in the Scottish League, which we really want to just keep on doing. But the fact that he has had some success in Europe could be the major factor. And then he's also lost his backroom staff as well over the last couple of years at West Ham. The speculation is just all over the place. There's probably been around about 20 managers so far that have been mentioned with the club. Obviously, some of them are that far out, it's just never going to happen. Will Enzo be the man to basically get the managerial job? I don't know. How do you think they did last night? Who really cares? Anyway, and that is your Celtic news this morning. There's not a lot going around, and there's a lot of stuff that's just complete nonsense, as you would expect on Sunday. But I did say it would be quiet this week. Hopefully things will pick up on Monday and Celtic might come out with an announcement next week. Here's hoping. And on that note, I hope you enjoy your Sunday. Have a great day, Celtic fans all around the world. Tell me where you're watching from in the comments, and we might start doing some live. So are you up for doing some Celtic lives? What would be the best time of night? I'm thinking around about between 6 and 7 o'clock UK time, and we'll do some lives and just have your say on the One Celtic Fans View YouTube channel. So have a great day, and I'll see you in the next video.
Roll up to the party, roll up to the party.